Hey guys, I made a few new friends. Look what they can do. So, we are over a week into the new league, and I'm here to bring you my first endgame high budget, high damage build, in the form of a Wraith Spectre Summoner. Of course, in the typical not boring and small fashion, we're again going to be abusing projectile shotgunning and overlapping explosions to deal out hundreds of millions of damage. This time, we're using Spectres we can raise from the new Crucible League encounters called Forge Frostbearers. These monsters are brand new introduced to this league and only found in Crucible League encounters. They might go away forever since the league goes away, so this might be another one of those builds where you can only play it once. Before I progress further into the video, just keep in mind that this build is still only a work in progress, and I'm also trying to figure things out myself as I test. As such, this video will not be very beginner friendly. I will not be giving out detailed explanation on every single mechanic I mention, so if you have any questions or want to explore this build with me, feel free to come join me in my Discord server. Link is in the description of this video. Forge Frostbearers cast a variety of spells, but the ones that we're most interested in is called Pyromaniac Ice Mortar. It's sort of like a catapult and reminds me of the Melon Pulp from Plants vs Zombies. Our minion friends basically conjures a projectile that they fling out towards their target and explodes on impact. And you've guessed it, it shotguns with overlapping explosions. By linking our Wraith Spectre with Spell Echo and Greater Volley, they fire 5 mortars each cast with insane cast speed. Since it's a ranged spell, our buddies automatically target our enemies from the distance and burst them down with overlapping explosions. In my current setup, I can summon 5 of them, each dealing around 21 million damage per second, which combines to over 100 million DPS. How do I scale their damage? Well, there are multiple ways, but I choose to use a multi-link minion helmet, something like what I have on the screen here. The helmet is a pain to craft, but the good news is that it is in fact a failed endgame craft for another popular build, Spectral Shield Throw. Spectral Shield Throw players would usually craft these types of helmets with the goal of getting the suffix of socketed attacks have 3% to critical strike chance instead of socketed spells. If they unfortunately roll spells instead of attacks on their helmet, they have essentially bricked their craft, and would sell these failed crafts fairly cheaply, thus allowing us to buy our best in slot helmet with the suffixes already completed for much less than the average cost of crafting it ourselves. With the suffix done, we just have to log the suffix via suffixes cannot be changed meta mod, then exalt slam again and again until we hit socketed spells are supported by level whatever minion damage, concentrated effect, and or plus levels to all minion skill gems. In the end, the build would greatly benefit from a perfect mirror service helmet that looks something like this. Usually the minion build master Gazi TV will be crafting one of these for mirror service every league, but I'm not sure if he's doing it this time. I also tried to craft one, but the funds required to do so would require me and my entire guild of friends to quit our jobs and divorce our wives. So, let's go bother Gazi to make one. I'll drop his Twitch handle in the description of this video. In terms of defense, the current version of my build is running a triple offering setup with the unique belt Leash of Oblation. This allows us to cap our spell block and block at 75%, keeping in mind that this is real block and not with glancing blows. We are also running Chaos Inoculation and has a decently high armor rating as well as high physical damage reduction. This combination of defensive layers work really well with the recover percentage of energy shield when you block mod on shields. Likewise, it also works really well with the Aegis Aurora shield, but you'll be missing some damage if you use Aegis. This actually might be my next step, figuring out a way to fit in a Mage Blood plus Aegis Aurora for insane tankiness without losing too much damage. The new Crucible Tree passive is absolutely insane in terms of the combination of passive skill nodes you can get for this build. I'm still playing around with what's best versus what I can realistically get, but you can check out my current setup by going in my POB, which you can find in the description of this video. Now, before we talk about the POB, there's something else worth mentioning with this build, and it's our Animated Guardian setup. There are many Animated Guardian setups you can use to boost our minions' damage while ensuring its own survivability, from budget all the way to setups costing dozens of divines. I will link you to Galzy's guide to Animated Guardians, where he does an amazing job providing multiple options for you. However, the setup that I'm using is a bit experimental. I am using the traditional endgame Animated Guardian weapon, the Kingmaker, to boost our Spectre's damage and our own survivability, and the Learcast helmet to further boost our damage. However, for the chest piece, I am using a rare Explodey chest. Then, I also use Gravebind gloves, Legacy of Fury boots, to make the enemies we kill explode. I also run Anomalous Animated Guardian to boost our explosion radius. I don't know if I can recommend running this Explodey AG setup, as it is quite expensive and your AG is a fair bit less tanky than using the traditional setup, so he might die and you lose everything. But man, does the clear feel good with this setup. In terms of the POB, I will leave two sets of POB in the description of this video. One is the current setup that I'm running, and the other is my plan for a Mageblood setup. Keep in mind that the build is still in progress and I'm still trying to optimize it. I usually make endgame builds from the top down, meaning that I usually start with no budget constraints and try to make the best and most high-end version of it before exploring budget optimized versions. So don't be surprised if you discover that some of the gear that I use are one of the kind or fairly expensive. This build can definitely be made with a much lower budget. The concept is proven and sound. If you want to explore this build with me, again, feel free to join the discussion in my Discord. As usual, I will end the video with the unedited footage of me killing some Uber bosses. You might notice that I haven't included Searing or Exarch fights, mostly in the fear of my Animated Guardian dying, but I will hopefully post those as well in a later update. I hope to design the build to be both a smooth mapper as well as an insane boss killer. Have fun guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and see you guys next time.